The chair will call the February 5th. Chair will call the February 5th, 2019 meeting of the City Council to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Alderman Redpath. Here. Alderman Senor.
Here.
Alderwoman Turner.
Here.
Alderman Fulgenzi.
Here.
Alderman Proctor.
Here.
Alderwoman DeCenso.
Present.
Alderman McMiniman.
Here.
Alderman Tylen.
Here.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Langfelder.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, a quorum is present.
Thank you. This time I'd ask Alderwoman Doris Turner to introduce some special guests.
I'm always excited when people come and visit with us in the council chambers to see how government works and the impact that it has on their lives, so they can then take that information back out and help us to serve the community even better. So I do want to recognize the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Springfield Decatur Area Alumni Chapter, who are here tonight. We want to stand. Very pleased to have them be an active part of this community for the past 43 years. It's an organization of college-educated women who are committed to the constructive development of its members, as well as public service with a primary focus on the African-American community. In realizing its mission, Delta Sigma Theta provides an extensive array of public service initiatives through its 5-point programmatic thrust of educational development, economic development, international awareness and involvement, physical and mental health, and political awareness and involvement. And I've been really happy and pleased to work with them on a number of very special projects. So thank you all for being here. Jeanette, would you like to come up and say a few words? Yeah, you do.
You have to come to the mic, please.
The mic.
Get a letter to their staff.
I might not have shown up if I knew. I'm going to say good evening, but I'm going to introduce Tiffany Burris, who is the current president of the Springfield Decatur Area Alumni Chapter, and she may have additional words for you.
We are pleased to be here, but Jeanette said I didn't have to say anything. No, but thank you for allowing us to attend your city council meeting. And, you know, we just want to know that we are involved in any way to help promote and be progressive in the city of Springfield. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Don't you have a special event coming up? Is there an event coming up or no?
Well, we have several things coming up. Are you talking about the stamp luncheon?
Right.
What do you? Oh, well, Yvonne Singley is present, and oh, okay, everybody. I need everybody who
It's like church. It's like church announcement time.
See, now I really didn't come in here to talk, but since he knows about our business, you must need to know as well. So on Saturday, March the 30th, we will be having it's the story of the African American women who have been on the United States postal stamps. And it is a luncheon. It is only $35. There are some hot tickets available in this room tonight. You don't even have to look for us. Yvonne Singley is our most able chair, and you will get some stamps for your collection. There'll be someone that will explain to you the importance of collecting stamps and get you energized and ready to collect. Just $35 lunch at the Inn at 835. Good food, good time. Good cause.
And also,
I don't have to say anything because Jeanette has already covered everything. But we really appreciate your support.
and one other event that we will have coming up, this is actually our year to do Delta Day at the state capitol. So we will be lobbying at the state capitol, and we will provide more information so that you guys can, it will be April 10th. 2019 here in Springfield, and we will provide more information. We also looking at our candidates and hopefully have some type of informational that we can put out for the upcoming election. We are deputy registrar, so we will register people to vote. So thank you.
And anybody running for office, March the 7th, we will have a candidates meet and greet at the BOS Center, 5 to 7. Ask the mayor. He knows how to find me if you need additional information.
Well, thank you very much.
Would you ladies like to come up and take a memory photo with the mayor?
We are always ready.
Alderman Senor?
Yeah, Mayor, while they're coming, I don't want to get in trouble at home, so my wife is a part of the sorority.
Excellent.
Valerie Senor. I have a sister, Candace Trees, that's a part of the sorority. I have another sister, Patricia Carter. I have a daughter, Sierra Moore, and my niece, Davida Maniel. So I didn't want to get in trouble.
You should get in the picture, too.
Tell us which one. And they also, Adina, this is a group that takes care of Martin Luther King between Cook Street and Washington. Is that correct? They're responsible. Clear Lake. They're responsible for the cleanup. They do it twice a year. So thank you very much for that.
I wondered why Herman was.
I would like to say one more thing.
I wondered why.
I know.
Herman was over there sweating.
It's on.
I wondered why.
I would like to say one more thing. I would like to thank Mr. Senor and Ms. Turner for always supporting our events. Mr. Senor comes out and gives us donuts and juice when we're cleaning the streets, and Ms. Turner has always been instrumental in a lot of our, especially when we do public health events. So thank you for those two for always being a pillar of support in our community.
We're getting some instructions.
I was just coming. Yeah, stay in that side, yes. There we go. We need people on this side. Everyone's on this side. Stay on this side. Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to get in Herman's family photo.
I know.
I have a few phones, sorry.
That's right.
One more phone. Oh, it's on. Some selfies. Okay.
Good job, ladies. You guys go straight home, folks.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd introduce Bonnie Drew, Deputy Mayor, and she wants to introduce some people from our Mayor's Youth Council and kind of the initiative we asked them to work on.
On January the 23rd, we had a working session for our upcoming All-City Youth Talent Show. Get a little plug-in for that, which is going to happen on March the 6th at Southeast High School. And on the weekend before that, there had been an activity, an event that had taken place that our council members were very concerned about. So as a group, they stepped forward. The mayor was at the meeting, and he came in and spoke to them for a few minutes. And what has transpired has been all at the direction or at the activity of our youth council and the superintendent's roundtable from District 186. So at this time, I'd like to ask Kayla Seck, who is our president from Sacred Heart Griffin, a senior, and Satay Wilkin from Springfield High School, who is also a senior, to step forward to give you a little information.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Seck, and I am the president of the Springfield Mayor Youth Council. Since the fall of 2017, the mission of the council has been to promote unity in Springfield as an attempt to make our city more appealing to the youth. Representatives from Springfield High, Lamphere, Southeast, Lutheran High, and Sacred Heart Griffin meet monthly to discuss social issues and the approach we can take to help combat these very issues. Henceforth, at our last meeting in January, the members of the Youth Council deemed it necessary to address the extremely negative and hurtful comments made on social media following the city tournament. The city tournament is certainly a wonderful place to display your pride for your school. However, more importantly, city tournament should be an opportunity to display your pride for Springfield as a whole. Springfield is our home, and such divisions between our citizens has exposed the bigger issue at hand. Sure, there are stereotypes that come with every neighborhood and school in Springfield, but that doesn't mean we have to accept them. Because in the end, we all know more facts about Abraham Lincoln than necessary. It may not always seem like it, but we are all certainly more alike than we believe. It's the balance between celebrating our differences all the while shedding light on what makes us all human that promotes unity. On behalf of the Mayor Youth Council, in collaboration with the District 186 Student Roundtable, I would like to present each one of you with a bracelet that represents the mission of both the Mayor Council and the Roundtable. Each bracelet has "Unity in Our Community" printed on it, with the colors from each school in the background as well. In an effort to begin the healing process between the high schools, we came up with this idea to help promote unity after the unfortunate events following the city tournament. Tonight, Southeast will be playing Springfield High, and Lanphier will be playing SHG again in basketball. Therefore, we will be passing out these very bracelets at both games and at other upcoming events as a reminder of the true message of City. Additionally, we have asked the cheerleaders to work in union with one another, whether that be cheering together, wearing matching bows, or taking pictures. All in all, we do not expect these divisions to heal overnight, yet we hope that this initial effort at mending a broken relationship will make a difference in the long run. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, guys. We do have bracelets for all of you here, so if you want one, you could. If there's a break, I'll be here with them. Kayla's going to go to the game, or I'll be here afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This time I'd like to introduce Floyd Mansberger, who's going to give a presentation with regards to the architectural survey that he had done, kind of a broad overview, and a more detailed one will be forthcoming.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Councilman. I'd like to make a presentation on an architectural survey that we did. It's a National Register of Historic Places thematic survey of Springfield's African American community, and a detailed architectural survey of Central East neighborhood. Funded by the Department of Natural Resources and the City of Springfield. The area that we surveyed is the greater red encircled area on the map there, and it went from 10th Street to 18th, 19th Street, south, more or less South Grand to up around Madison Street to the north. A very large area compared to other areas that we'd surveyed in the past. There's a detail area, the survey area. We drove the entire area looking for houses that predate the 1940s, and then specifically looking at properties that might be associated with African American community in the area. We used a wide variety of historic maps for our survey area or research. We used a variety of archival resources, such as this directory from the 1870s of colored people of Springfield, and newspapers. The local newspaper collections are phenomenal for Springfield, and they're a searchable database that become extremely useful for this kind of research. And we used a variety of historic photographic resources that are available for Springfield. This particular example is from Doc Helms. I don't know, a bunch of folks here probably knew Doc Helms, but and that's Doc Helms' home on Passfield Street. Phenomenal photographic collection, and that's complemented by the photographic collection in the Sangamon Valley collection here in Springfield at the local Lincoln Library. As part of this survey, we were interested in doing a thematic study of just African American settlement in entire Springfield, the greater community. But we also we had to focus in on this greater survey area that we had, specifically that area, and we came up with three properties that we all are pretty familiar with that have some greater significance for Springfield in the area. The firehouse, engine house number 5. Whoops, sorry. The Lincoln Colored Home that we're very familiar with and is very significant property. Oh, I'm sorry, clicker. problems, and the Judge Taylor House, which was home for the Ambidextrous Industrial and Normal Institute, which was also very, very significant property in town. Those three properties in our survey area really stood out as being clearly of the most significance. But we also, as part of the survey, we identified 37 properties within that greater area that had an association with the African American population, a series of churches, community buildings such as the Boys and Girls Club, as well as residences and businesses associated with some prominent individuals. Everybody know Dr. Lee here in town? Yes. Yes. One of the first, well, the first clinic for African American. He came to town, couldn't get working with the local hospitals, so he set up his own clinic. So the clinic's still extant as well as his house. This was an interesting one. Mr. Rogers, he was a very significant editor, ran 2 different newspapers through much of the early 20th century. His house is still extant here in town. The Gibbs family, Mr. and Mrs. Gibbs. Does anybody have heard of the Gibbs? Yes. Very, very, very influential family in the early part of the 20th century. A lawyer by trade, and his house is still extant. Mr. Birdsong, an early contractor, his house shows up in the newspaper. He just constructed it in 1918, and it's still extant. These 2 houses. Everybody's heard of the Green Book? Anybody has heard of the Green Book? There's a movie that's just coming out on the Green Book about, it was a publication out of New York about, it was a way for African-American travelers to know who was friendly when they're traveling, what establishments. There were a series of about 30 properties listed in the city of Springfield in the Green Book through the early parts of the 20th century. There's only 2 of those are still extant, and those are the 2 houses that were associated with the Green Book and African-American tourism in early Springfield. And there's only 2 of them left. I was asked to make this quick. I hope I made some sense out of it. But this survey, this work that we've done, was pretty much just the beginning, the first phase of a multi-phase project that we hope to be able to continue in the future. And we want to recognize the significance to local history of those 37 properties that we identified earlier. And we want to pursue in the future a multiple property nomination form to get several of those properties, as many as we can, of the 37 we've currently located and more on the National Register of Historic Places. And we want to integrate the results of this work into a greater outreach and or educational program that we could work on in the future. And particularly would like to identify the 3 properties of greatest significance, we think, is the Firehouse, the Lincoln Colored Home, and the Taylor House that need some immediate assistance. And I'm open for questions, and if anybody, Mr. Senior?
Oh, Floyd, I appreciate the work you did. I know you spoke to a lot of people. I think my mother was one of those people that you spoke to. And hopefully you're getting the information and you're getting these things tracked so that we can get them on the National Register and be recognized for the significance that they have played in history. And I know Mr. Page is in the audience. He's very involved with the old Firehouse 5 on Adams Street. And there's a big connection there, so I do appreciate your work, and thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. The way the grant was set up, we had to identify, we couldn't do just a study of the greater Springfield area. We had to identify a neighborhood, and we picked this greater east side neighborhood. But we can't think of African-American settlement just in the east side. They've had an influence, dramatic influence on the entire community of Springfield. It's a community approach that we need to take, not a neighborhood approach. And it's something that I hope we can get funding through. DNR is open for another round of grants, and we hope to pursue that in the near future.
And then Floyd's also the one that's worked on the archaeological site related to the rail. I don't know if you want to give a update on that as far as the scheduled timeline.
I'm the principal with Fever River Research. We're a contract archaeology and history firm here in Springfield. I'm subcontracted through Hanson Professional Services, which is contracted through the city of Springfield. And we are the archaeological firm that's been doing the work on the race riot archaeology project down off of 10th Street, 10th and Madison. And we started that project did the first phase of the archaeology in the fall of 2014. We have just finally took over 4 years to get the coordination documents in place to allow for the next phases of the archaeology, and that was finalized last fall. I believe it was first part of October, something like that. And we have been working up through early January. There's 2 sites there. There's a site that was associated with the Portuguese settlement, and then there's the race riot site. We've almost got the archaeology of the Portuguese area completed, but as soon as the weather breaks, we anticipate getting that site completed. It's on the back side of the St. John's, a new children's center. We'll get that completed and then immediately go into probably about 3 months of archaeological field work at the site of the race riot. We got 5 houses partially in the right-of-way that we're going to expose, and the 5 houses were burned in August 1908 as part of the riots that occurred in the city of Springfield. It should be an exciting new look at the events that transpired in that August 1908 event. But stay tuned for more on the archaeology. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Floyd. Chair will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the January 15, 2019 City Council meeting and approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading, first reading of ordinances in the record of this City Council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Chair, next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda in the record of the City Council meeting.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Be noted as present on 22, 23, 24, and 25.
Any other discussion or on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And the motion carries, showing Alderman Fulgenzi present on 2022, 23, 24, and 25.
And on 10.
And 10. Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the consent agenda passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Agenda numbers 2017-103, 2017-489, 2018-110, 2018-545, 2019-008, 2019-035, 2019-036, 2019-037, 2019-038, 2019-039, 2019-040, 2019-041, 2019-042, 2019-043, 2019-044, and 2019-45, and 2019-4046 remain tabled or in committee.
Mr. Mayor, if I thought we had put together an agreement to bring some of the ordinances back for the appointments for after our discussions last week. Is that correct?
Yes, we are going to have a special council meeting next Wednesday, so we have the new appointees for the advisory group, and that needs to be amended, so we can either take action on these or just wait to take action on all of them next week.
Can I?
Alderwoman Turner.
So after the council meeting after the committee of the whole meeting last week, the mayor and I met several times and reached a compromise to expand the committee and add 4 additional members. So there has to be an ordinance that would come forward that would take that action, okay. And that ordinance is on first reading. So we have to do that first, okay. And then we can populate the entire committee. So I think that we have some other business that we have to take care of in a special meeting, so we're going to do it all at the same time.
Okay, just want to make sure we're moving forward with
Yeah.
that, and I know you had
Yes.
concerns on that. So
Yes.
Thank you.
So we should be finished with it next week.
Perfect. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Next item on the agenda is number 2019-017, an ordinance accepting.
I'd like to make a motion to take out of order 2019-026 all the way through 2019-034 and bring them to the front of the agenda.
Second. Been moved and second to take out of order 2019-026 through 2019-034 for an omnibus vote related to appointments to commissions and boards.
Second.
It's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. So 2019-026, an ordinance approving the appointment of Kathleen Alcorn to the Civil Service Commission. 2019-027, an ordinance approving the appointment of Alamion M. Allen to the Civil Service Commission. 2019-028, an ordinance approving the appointment of Lindsay R. Evans to the Springfield Historic Sites Commission. 2019-029, an ordinance approving the reappointment of Mark Vance to the Springfield Economic Development Commission. 2019-030, an ordinance approving the reappointment of Joe Baschio to the Springfield Economic Development Commission. 2019-031, an ordinance approving the reappointment of Gary L. Hammonds to the Oak Ridge Cemetery Board of Trustees. 2019-032, an ordinance approving the reappointment of Alan Sherrick to the Oak Ridge Cemetery Board of Trustees. 2019-033, an ordinance approving the reappointment of Kathleen E. Spindle to the Oak Ridge Cemetery Board of Trustees. 2019-034, an ordinance approving the reappointment of Mitchell L. Murdoch to the Oak Ridge Cemetery Board of Trustees. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2019-026 through 2019-034 on final passage.
So move.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the appointments passed, 9 voting yes, none voting no. And if any of those individuals are here, would like to step forward and introduce themselves, we'd appreciate it. I think most of them were at the committee as a whole. Very good. Next item on the agenda is is 2019-017, an ordinance accepting RFP PW 19-08, authorizing a contract with Gotcha Bike to establish and maintain a bike share program and allow for placement of bicycles on right-of-ways, city right-of-ways, for the Office of Public Works. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2019-017 on final passage.
So moved. Second.
Second.
Been moved in second, and we do have an individual here for discussion, I believe. Adina Rivas, if you'd like to come forward. Adina's been the champion to carry this initiative forward on behalf of the city and Public Works, which we appreciate.
And the Bike Committee.
And the Bike Committee, correct. Thank you very much.
Adina Rivas with Public Works, and this is from Gotcha.
I'm Griffin Blackwater. I'm the Vice President of Gotcha.
Thank you.
Gotcha.
So if you'd like to give a brief overview of your company, that'd be great.
Sure.
Griffin.
Thank you all for having me. It's great to be here. I flew in from Charleston, South Carolina. That's where we're headquartered. We've actually been around since 2009, providing shared mobility services to primarily colleges and universities, but also in the city and municipality space as well. Coming up on our 10-year anniversary this year. We offer a variety of different products, all designed to kind of help solve that first last mile issue in transportation-wise, using 100% electric forms of transportation. So with a huge emphasis on safety and moving people around in a more cost-effective and a more sustainable way. So what we're kind of discussing here is a a bike share program that encompasses the city of Springfield using our new e-assist bike that will be established in various locations throughout the city, where users can go to those locations to check out a bike and ride that bike to any of the other approved locations as a sustainable form of getting them around the city. So,
I didn't know if there's any questions. Alderman Redpath?
So have you ran into any unusual roadblocks here to get this thing up off the ground, or how's it look so far? I mean, have you checked out the area?
Yeah, so our team will actually be involved with the Public Works Department to go through the site planning and actually determine the locations with the city engineer, as well as Medina here with the Public Works Department. But we'll have a full team on the ground who will also kind of manage the operation on a day-to-day basis.
And we got some feedback from UIS that they were going to be a big part of this program, and so is there going to be different places for startup, like downtown, the university, the mall, or something? I mean, tell me how that's going to work.
Yeah, the first phase will ideally be just, conversations with the city and with the university on kind of where these first phase ideal locations would be based on the popular areas of travel and destinations. And then certainly kind of monitoring the system in real time through the data that we'll collect to make sure that these locations are in the appropriate places, and we can make adjustments, thereafter if we need to kind of move some of these locations around. Yes, sir.
Is there any limitation to how far the bikes can go? I mean, are you from Charleston?
I am.
Do they have one of these in Charleston?
We have a bike share system in Charleston.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there a range that the bikes can go when they get out of range, or what's the?
It kind of depends. What we'll do is set up a system boundary, kind of a geofenced area where we ultimately want the bikes to live.
So if you're in Charleston, could you ride at the Goose Creek, or would that be too far?
I mean, if you're an avid biker, you could probably make it to Goose Creek. We do have people who ride on them over the bridge to the beaches and things like that. Right. Those bikes would be considered outside of the system area, but the bikes would be, you have that flexibility to do that if you wanted to, and then our team would go and possess the bikes and bring them back downtown.
So it would be out of bounds if you did that, basically?
That's right. Okay. But the geofence area is more just to kind of make sure that we have enough bikes within that area for general use throughout the day.
Okay.
So.
Alderman Donlin?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a functionality question.
Sure.
When you check out a bike, it's in a hub. How do you know where the other hubs are?
So you can use the app. There will also be signage panels that will kind of let you know from a wayfinding perspective where the other locations are. You can also use the website to determine where those other locations are as well too. But they will be marked with signage, so if you pass one, you'll definitely know it's a hub.
Thank you. Great. Appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments? Very good. Alderman Fulgenzi.
I hate to ask this question, but you mentioned electric bikes.
Yes, sir.
That's one of the things that we've always been talking about and so forth. Is the speed limit on the electric bikes, do they have governors on them? They only go 10 miles or so many cc's on it?
Absolutely. So the legal limit of an electric bike is 20 miles an hour. So the governor would prohibit the user from physically using the motor to reach that capacity. That doesn't mean if you were heading down a hill or in that capacity, you couldn't go faster. But we consider the electric bike more of a social equalizer. So it allows users who aren't maybe avid bike riders who use bikes more comfortably as a mode of transportation. Maybe like yourself, I'm not. Certainly me, in terms of going longer distances or just making bike, a little easier, more transportation friendly. It's one of those situations where it's not an actual throttle. You do have to pedal the bike to engage the motor, so it just makes your commute essentially just easier.
So the electric bikes, we were talking about those more for UIS campus than for the actual larger Springfield area, just because if they were going to use the 11th Street to get from UIS to downtown, they need a little assist, right? That's kind of conversations later on. Is that something that we would, try to get at every single hub, some electric assist? Those are kind of details we'll figure out. If you guys are interested, let us know.
So is UIS going to contribute to a bike trail from UIS down to where they hook up with the sidewalks down by Walmart?
It's kind of the hub to the hub, right? So one of the hubs would be at UIS, or two hubs, or what have you, and then they would use obviously our own city streets and routes.
So they're going to be on the street, or they're going to be on the bike trail?
On the street, yeah.
Okay.
Unless we have trails that connect, eventually, hopefully.
Well, I think the UIS ought to pay for a bike trail from there down to the university.
Alderman Proctor?
Yeah, I was the one that asked about the kids having to be a part of this program. You sent me an email saying that I think there's some liability issues if you do it for kids. But is that something that maybe you might be looking in your business model, that maybe in the future that kids will be able to take kids' version of these bikes? And because I'm the guy that, I got 10-year-old and 4-year-old, and I don't want to be the only one riding the bike. And it'd be great to be able for them to participate too.
Sure. It's a great question. It's certainly something that we care about. It just, unfortunately, it just doesn't really fit really well into the business model. I mean, we're in the business of providing bike share as a mode of transportation to kind of solve first mile and last mile issues. So typically, and from our experience and kind of the interactions that we have with people who are traveling with kids, utilizing the bike is more kind of the application of bike rental, where you're kind of starting and stopping from a similar location, maybe for leisure, maybe just for fun. So our hope is that we can provide or partner with local bike shops, local bike rental companies who do provide that service as an informational tool for them to go and know where they can go and check out kids' bikes. But from a liability purposes, from our insurance agreement, and just from general overview of operating the program, it just wouldn't be. We wouldn't be able to offer them at kids' bikes.
What is the age limit, right? Was it 18 or 17, you said? Or?
It's 18, but you can actually have like an adult or legal guardian sign for a bike, so you rent the bike itself, so it's 16 or older. And then if you do that as a parent or guardian and they're 16 years old, then you actually take on liability yourself if they get hurt or something happens on the bike.
Okay, so 16-year-olds would be able to use it with permission from their parents or signed documents and stuff?
Correct.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah.
Alderman Cento.
Thank you. The only thing I have to say is that there was a lot of conversation on some of my social media about this, and Springfield not being as bike friendly as it needs to be. Mm-hmm. And we have designated bike lanes in the city where people park. And I have personally called the police and said, hey, can you go ticket them? Can you let them know that they're not supposed to park there? Give them a warning, do something. So if we're going to become more bicycle friendly in the city, then we need to stop parking in the bike lanes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Alice.
Yeah. Yeah, we would love to kind of work with the city directly to kind of address any safety issues there are with bikes. I mean, when we were headquartered in Charleston, South Carolina, and when we were approached by the city, they told us that we were crazy to even try to implement a bike share system in the downtown area. I mean, it's been historically voted the worst biking city in the entire country for many, many years. So we had a lot of people who were apprehensive about us launching bikes, but the program's been insanely successful. It's been extremely well embraced by the community, local businesses as well. And we have a great relationship with the city where we're trying to work on programs designed to make the bicycling infrastructure safer and better for the residents of Charleston. So,
great.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
So with no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Next item on the agenda is number 2019-019, an ordinance ratifying a collective bargaining agreement with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 37, on behalf of the Springfield firefighters from March 1st, 2016 through February 28, 2021. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2019-019 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Alderman DeSenor.
Yeah, I've noticed lately that Local 37's been doing a lot of promoting of the product, and they've been on Facebook promoting where they've gone and what they've done. And recently, as of today, they're highlighting members of the fire department, and one of the members they've highlighted today is Chief Cecil Taborn, who is Mr. Taborn's brother that we honored the other week. Nice. So I appreciate their efforts, and thank you very much to Local 37 and the Springfield firefighters.
Chief, if you'd like to say anything.
I never like to say. No, I'll take questions. I mean, I think it's a pretty straightforward agreement. It was a good compromise. I thought it was a step in the right direction for everybody. And I will pass that on. Jeff Huebner is his name that does their page, does a great job.
Thank you.
Alderman McMiniman.
Congratulations to all the Unit 37 firefighters and to our city negotiators. This is an outstanding agreement. It took 2 years of effort. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. for the collective bargaining agreement. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. This is a monumental collective bargaining agreement for reasons which I'd like to discuss possibly next week. Mr. Mayor, you've got an ordinance having to do with pensions, and I also have one. And if we can model this collective bargaining agreement to forthcoming agreements, we can potentially make the turn on the city's pension obligation debt issues. And I'd like to talk about that next week, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask that all the city council be co-sponsors on this ordinance, because we all worked with the fire department on this too, so thank you.
And really this, the contract expired in 2016, so there's a lot of give and take on both sides. So really the credit goes to the union leadership as well as the administration. I know Corporation Council and others, HR had a significant input into that, as well as OBM. So I know it was a close vote, so that means it was a good contract. If it's one way or the other, it's not good. And really who benefits in the long run are the citizens of Springfield. So we appreciate everyone's efforts with regards to that.
Mr. Mayor, a follow comment. I think that's an outstanding idea, Alderman Redpath, for everyone to join in as co-sponsors. I've got a particular interest in this ordinance. Why? Because it incorporates a modified residency for our firefighters, and that's something that I've been especially involved with for 8 years. And then, secondly, this contract provides in year one a bonus payment in lieu of increase in base pay, which would become pensionable income. So in effect, this is like a modified pay freeze for 1 year, or a bonus in lieu of a bonus in lieu of increase in base pay, and that reflects incredible leadership by our firefighters to accept that kind of a agreement. It's novel throughout the state of Illinois. I can't think of any other fire districts in recent history that have agreed to this type of approach to try to gain some cost containment on our increasing wage base. So that's my particular reason for being so supportive of this ordinance. Thank you.
But mostly it's important that we all co-sponsor this thing to show that we support our first responders. Our police and fire department is the very most important part of our lives here. They protect us every day. The policemen go out every day and lay their lives on the line, as do the firemen. So that's why I want to be a part of this, and I can probably say most of the city council feels the same way. There's a lot of good things that are coming out of this thing, and we're very proud of you guys. So thanks.
Alderwoman Turner.
Doesn't happen very often, but I agree with everything Joe McMiniman just said.
But with regards, go ahead, Alderman Donnelly.
No, I don't know if I could top that, but I did want to say I thank the management team that was involved in organizing it, and especially the local 37 for their patience, because as this goes back to 2016. So sure, if you could pass that along.
Yeah, and Gary would be here tonight. This is his last day as union president. They're doing their installation of officers as we speak. Okay. So Ryan Sable will be the president going forward after today. He's a good guy.
Just think, Chief, you get to start it all over again in about 6 months.
Yeah. Maybe a couple years.
Well, with regards to that, a couple items was on residency. We did give up on, compromised on that. We'd like to go for the full term, so we settled for 15 years. The bonus is, a little bit probably extra than what we normally would pay with regards to an increase, but that's the compromise you have. But specific point is we try to do things Springfield's way with the approaching issues, and that's goes to the heart of the matter. We have different situations, especially when you're dealing with financial impact of pensions, things of that nature, and how can we resolve that? So that's a good point. Alderman McMiniman had made that this is one of the first communities to move forward in that direction, but it's the right approach where unions can work with the administration and the city council to make sure we get things done to address our long-term needs. And that's what it's all about. How do we all work together to address those needs and not kick the can down the road? So appreciate everybody's efforts in this.
Mr. Mayor, Alderman Turner, we agree on so many important issues. You provided a key vote in 2012 to get the residency question on the ballot, and you've provided key support to get the residency ordinances passed through our city council so that our new city hires reside within our city government. And we agree on so much, we just forget about it sometimes.
Unity in our community.
Boy, those bracelets are kicking in, aren't they? I should have passed those out in 2015.
It's amazing how quick that worked.
Well, thank you very much. So any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. Voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend with the rules in place on first reading agenda number 2019.
We have an ordinance.
What do we have? Let's see. Do we? Let's see. Okay. Next item on the agenda is 2019-020, an ordinance amending Chapter 110, Section 110.313 for the 1988 City of Springfield Code of Ordinances as amended pertaining to taxi cab operator licenses. Chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2019-020 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, please. I don't know about the other aldermen, but I did receive a number of questions about this one via email from people. And every question they had was whether or not this ordinance was about something else. And I explained multiple times that this is not dealing with Lyft or Uber or any of those other things. Mr. Zirkle, if you could just explain for the public what this ordinance is so that we have it on the record one more time. There has been a lot of confusion about what this ordinance is.
Certainly, Alderman. You may recall we had discussed this at the Committee of the Whole meeting, and this is really just a technical correction to the code to bring the taxi cab operator license within our normal administrative court process. So this is really basically more of a housekeeping change, has nothing whatsoever to do with Uber or any of those types of activities. Those are under separate laws, ordinances and state laws and so on. So it has only effect with relation to taxi cab operator licenses, those formal taxi cab companies, which now will be addressed through an administrative court process instead of going over to circuit court. So if that answers your question, it is purely just housekeeping.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor of the ordinance vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the ordinance passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. The chair will entertain a motion and place on first, suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2019-088, an ordinance authorizing the amount of $1,200,000 for road infrastructure improvements to JNB, Springfield LP, and Rock Island Economic Growth Corporation, utilizing Far East Tax Increment Finance funds for the Popular Place redevelopment project for the Office of Planning and Economic Development.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2019-089, an ordinance approving the appointment of Bruce Clark to the Springfield Convention and Visitors Advisory Board.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and place on first reading agenda number 2019-090, an ordinance approving the appointment of Sonia L. Perkins to the Springfield Convention and Visitors Advisory Board.
So move.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Alderman Turner.
Is there a similar ordinance for the youth council?
Do you have the amendment?
It's on first reading.
Okay.
Already for the youth, for the youth?
No, I'm sorry. Do you mean for the member? Yes. The way the amendment is structured, the youth council member is selected by the youth council, so not by the city council.
So, okay, so we don't have to have a companion ordinance that names that, that names that position?
Well,
Or is it included, it's included
It's in the amendment.
It is,
in the amendment?
yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. It's in the amendment that's on first reading, and
Okay.
it references youth council member, and it says how they're selected.
Okay,
If that, okay,
thank you.
yep.
Any other discussion? Do we need to make a motion on the one in first reading or anything of that nature?
Not as it relates to the amendment. Okay. Because that'll just go through the normal, your normal process.
Okay.
So that'll come to us next week.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Any unfinished business come before the council? Alderman DeSenso.
Thank you. This is probably the third time I have brought up this issue now, and I'm getting a little tired of talking about it. Sangamon County Animal Control was called last Wednesday night. You're aware of the situation. The Springfield Police Department is aware of the situation. Dogs were freezing to death. A few dogs did freeze to death in the city. There's a new law on the books in the state of Illinois that any law enforcement is supposed to take possession of those dogs. There were some dogs that were left out on North 5th Street that luckily the NPO was back and forth checking on these dogs probably 5 or 6 times throughout the night to make sure they were still alive. Their water was frozen. They had no shelter. The dogs were then, I believe, taken into custody of animal control, and the owner was fined. We're not sure what the fines were. To my knowledge, animal control did not come out till the next morning, and then the dogs were returned to the owner, and they got some extra straw. So we've got a problem on our hands, and again, this is the third time I've brought this up, and now we're going to be liable for this. It's a state law. We have to come up with a solution. I realize that the officer in question that was protecting these animals, overseeing these animals, isn't here. So he can't speak on behalf, but there are some people in the audience that have experience with this and were involved with the situation as it was going on and would like to speak. So I think we should let them.
So I think I would like to hear from the police department about the protocol that we use if the MPO is going out there to follow up with this complaint of why the animal control people are not responding to our police officers. I think that's the problem. So is it a contractual thing, or what is the procedure?
There's supposed to be someone on call 24/7.
I'd like to hear from the police department. No offense, but
Animal control has come out here before and told us that. They have said we're on call 24/7.
I know, but I want to hear how we were responding before we even get to animal control.
Well, there are people here that were on the scene that can speak to that.
I still want to hear from the police department.
Okay.
If you'd like to come up, Chief Winslow couldn't be here, but I know he's looked into this situation, and with regards to state statute, we're not sure if it, and that's what we'll have to verify, if they have to take the dog into custody or if it's an option. And the other side of it is, what do you do with the particular animal if we take them into custody with regards to that? So that's one item that they were looking into.
I think I was trying to find out our protocol before we ever get, when we go out to a complaint that's called in, our whatever officer, NPO officer, beat officer, whomever, what is their protocol? And do they stay there until the animal control? Sure. How's that work?
I understand completely. First, Mr. Mayor and Council, I just want to let you know that the Chief expresses his sympathies for not being here tonight. He entrusted me to come here and answer your questions for you. In a situation like that, sir, we would go out and we do check on the animals. In fact, the situation in which she was referring to, it was a normal patrol officer. It wasn't necessarily the MPO. It happened overnight. And in those circumstances, we do contact animal control. It is animal control's policy that they don't come out unless there is extreme distress or extreme danger. They were contacted. They declined to come out. The officer that went out there verified that there was shelter. At that time, the water wasn't frozen. At that moment, it was by the next morning. That particular officer and supervisors continue to go out there without being prompted throughout the night to make sure that the dogs were okay. And there was, in fact, 2 dogs. One was determined to be a short hair, one was a long hair. Each time that they went back out there to check, obviously the protocol from animal control is not to respond unless we tell them that they're in such dire need that they need to come out and come get them. And in this particular circumstance, once they were coming on in the morning, an officer went out for the 5th time and assisted, and they did take the dogs at that time. So throughout the night, there was multiple times that we did go out. We did contact animal control at the first time. It was determined that it wasn't a danger at that time, and animal control declined to come out. Okay. Does that answer your question, sir?
Sure does. Thank you.
No, I have a follow-up on that.
Yes, sir.
For example, you respond to this house, you're there, second or third time you're there, it's extreme cold.
Sure.
Are you knocking on the door? Are you trying to talk to someone?
Yes, absolutely. And even in this instance, the first time we went out, we're trying to get a hold of an owner. We're trying to make contact with someone to just simply mitigate the problem by having them bring them in the home. We'd much rather see a homeowner, or excuse me, a pet owner and their pets be together and understand the law as it is. You know, currently our problem is it is a new law. Corporation Counsel is helping us review our policies and our procedures and trying to figure out what we establish and what we do whenever we come out. We have a number of pet lovers on the department, myself included, and you know, we don't want to see any harm come to that, but at the same time we balance that with the citizens of Springfield. We know that they love their pets too. So we do go out there, we do try to make contact with them, and we do want the best for everybody. The problem is that we're not necessarily trained to go and grab a strange dog and take them and put them in our squad car. We're just not equipped, and that's just not something that we can do other than call for animal control. Yes, ma'am.
And I realize that, but no one that loves their pet leaves them out in negative 40-degree weather all night long.
Understood.
It's disgraceful. And if, you know, as a crazy dog lady, I can't. And we've done this 3 times now. This is it should be a very simple procedure. And I'm not putting this on you.
Understand.
At all. Or the Springfield Police Department. But something has got to change, period. We can't have our mayor on the cover of the Illinois Times with his dog not protecting the canines of this city.
Yeah, we'll have to have a discussion with the new director of public health and see what can be done. I mean, we're paying for a service to be provided. And what we don't want is, that's why we need to take a look at the state statute, because officers have enough to do, they have enough on their plate. Sure. So it's not acceptable for them just not to answer the call, especially when law enforcement calls them for assistance.
And I have to say, I don't know enough about the contract between us and animal control. I can only speak to you from experience that it does take special circumstances before they will come out if they're not already on duty.
And I know private citizens were also calling animal control.
Yes.
So it wasn't just the Springfield Police Department.
So, Alderman, that's what I was trying to get to, is where does the breakdown in communication fall? I wanted to make sure our guys were doing what they were supposed to do, and then follow up with Corporation Counsel to look at our contract to see what the obligation of the county animal control is, and see if that's the breakdown. Obviously, the new state statute is throwing a twist into the whole thing, because obviously there's not a lot of knowledge on either side of how it works. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, that would be correct.
Okay. We're not trying to cast blame here. We're trying to find out.
Oh, no, I understand.
Right. And I'm not trying to belabor this point, but something has to change. dogs in the summer aren't being fed or just running loose or barking, incessantly. Dogs in the winter are being left out in the cold. From what I was told, a Yorkie froze to death on Walnut Street. This is unacceptable. It's just inhumane. We don't want this happening to people. We don't want it happening to animals.
Right.
This is something we can control. Let's control it.
Jane had signed up to speak. Jane McBride, if you'd like to come forward.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane McBride. I'm here as president of Illinois Humane. We are a licensed shelter with affiliated humane investigators. I promised the lieutenant's command staff I would try to cover for him tonight and not let you guys beat up on him too much, because we were involved in this particular incident. We have been involved during the cold weather response, and that was one of my missions with Commander Mumau to find out exactly what happened out there. It is a new statute, but that doesn't mean that we're not ready to deal with it. The animal control personnel that were involved that night have been very familiar with these situations, very involved with the legislation as it moves through. So there really, truly was no excuse whatsoever that we didn't have the proper response. What happened out there, and let me just preference this, that I started working with the county about January 14th when I was called in to come to an advisory meeting. And at that time, I recognized a number of problems that have been ongoing with animal control for a number of years. I've been working with animal control and animals in this community for 20 years. I was involved in the original contract. Mayor Hasira asked us to step in and advise, so I'm very familiar with that contract, what it was supposed to be, and what it's not. And that's therefore what I'm asking the city is to indeed invest themselves in revisiting that contract and in fact renegotiate it and bring it into some specifics, because there's much you can do with that to get much better service. Our service here is substandard. I will tell you that. It is substandard. I go around the country speaking about shelter law. I work with the National Association of Animal Control. I do a program in conjunction with them. I'm currently chairman of the American Bar Association's Animal Law Committee. In that capacity, I work with professionals across the country. We don't have to look across the country to find good outfits. You've got one down the road in Decatur. Those officers are very well trained. They come to our training. That facility is a very professional facility. We have no excuse here, absolutely no excuse. So if I can just broach what happened that night, and I want to preface that we had an incident a week earlier with cold weather. We went over the law with animal control. We talked about cold weather response. We talked about cold weather anticipation, what appropriate shelter is, particularly with pit bulls and short-haired animals. At that time, we had a go-around that allegedly the shelter was okay because the dog was healthy, otherwise compromised. I pulled out all the veterinary medical science to show that even though an animal is healthy, at 10 degrees and below, a short-haired, single-coated dog should not be out in a situation, particularly in a shelter with no insulation, freezing water, shelter into the wind. We went over all that just a week prior to when this weather really hit. It was no secret that the forecast was for a very severe wind chill that night. What happened is, and I traced this back with the police department, is what happened about 8, 9 o'clock Tuesday night before the night of the really, really cold weather. Animal control got a hold of dispatch, or dispatch got a hold of animal control, and they said, we are not responding unless the animal is actually in distress, all right? So that means the animal already has to go in distress, which means it's shivering, it's lethargic, it's already in distress. All right, they know that's not the law. That's not the new law. This new law is not a mystery to them. The new portion of this amendment, which was 3 years in the making, and it was very specifically written the way it was, Mr. Largent was a part of that legislative process. He was there for all of those meetings, is that this law would allow us to get out in front of those situations. When we went out there, we made the evaluation that the available shelter was inadequate. Law enforcement, and it was specific to law enforcement, all the stakeholders wanted it to be the police to do this, could temporarily impound that dog, bring it in, And we didn't even make them go to a vet right away, although ideally that's what you do. But you didn't have to go to a vet right away because most law enforcement doesn't have the availability or budget for a vet right there. But it was to bring the dog in out of those conditions and then get him to a vet and then make the decision as far as either charging or whatever. So there's so that new portion is to get those dogs out of those conditions. And this honestly is no mystery because this has been what the issue has been for 3 years, and Largent was a part of all that. So he knows exactly what this is supposed to be. The problem is the judgment in the field. And the problem is the officers are not even given the discretion to make that call in the field. They have to call Greg Largent, who knows where he is. He's not there looking at the situation. So about 8 or 9 o'clock at night on Tuesday night, Animal Control made this call that they're not coming out, despite the weather. They're not coming out unless the animal's already in distress. So about 11:30 at night, the police department gets called out to this address. No response from the owner, so there was a decision because the animals were not in distress, and because of your contract, they rely on Animal Control. They always say they're going to rely on Animal Control because that's who your contract is with. So at that point, they didn't impound the dogs. At 2 o'clock, my agency, my investigator, got a call to go out there, and so we went out there. We were waiting for police response to assist. We were out there for about an hour at that point, and we're making noise to keep the dogs active because when you keep their adrenaline going, that helps them as well. So finally, we got we had a response. He had already been to this address. He did not facilitate us putting eyes on the dogs. Our information was that Animal Control had been contacted and that these were 2 shepherds, and there had been some judgment made by somebody that this was sufficient shelter. At this point, I'm calling the lieutenant on duty, and I'm, starting to get a hold of people. And I said, look, we will be back out there shortly, once with some time. But I'm saying this is not an appropriate response whatsoever. And I said, I don't know who from Animal Control is making this call, but this is not the appropriate response. We got back out there about 7 o'clock or so, and at that point, we did get the police assistance. We did get eyes on the dog. Not 2 shepherds, 1 pit bull, and water was completely frozen. One of the kennels was iced over. There was bedding. Bedding is not appropriate. Wood shelters into the wind, and no insulation in the shelters at all. We have the weather information. At one point, the wind chill was minus 40 degrees in that situation, which is not at all. You cannot maintain animals in that. So I checked back with the police, and then I was in contact with Mr. McFadden, and I said, well, okay, not 2 shepherds, and I said, pit bull, and I also asked him, what was Animal Control's role? He's completely denying that Animal Control was contacted whatsoever. And so that's when we started to trace it back with the police. So the police indicate that, there was this declaration made at 8:30 or 7:30 the night before. Animal Control's just not coming out. Very fortunately, the police did continue to visit that household through the night. I had a couple of conversations with the lieutenants. The officers were very concerned about their dogs, those dogs, so they were out there about every hour and a half, every 2 hours. That's what saved those dogs, is because of that kind of interaction that the police had. They get them riled up, they get them moving, and that's what kept those dogs alive through the night. And when we finally got to the point where we could impound, then Animal Control did impound the dogs. This kind of confusion is just not necessary at all, not needed. There needs to be much better communication. The contract is actually standing in the way of some of our work out in the field, so we would like that revisited, because when the police come out, because of that contract, they always default to whatever Animal Control is going to tell them. We do have the option of impounding. If we do it without the police, we have to do it through an administrative process. It's cumbersome. This law was not meant to do that. It was meant that we could act as subject matter experts as well and impound. we would have to, use a catch pool and the like and use our own transport and the like. We could do that. It would be a lot better if we could have a cooperative spirit. I have worked years past where we work very well with animal control and we're able to do these cases cooperatively. That's not exactly the case right now. So this is just not working well at all. I would ask the city council to either form a committee, do something to facilitate revisiting of this contract, getting it straightened out. There's other aspects of other problems with the facility itself that needs to be looked at. I am in communication with the state's attorney. Some of the aldermen and some of the city staff has facilitated future communication, very short order, and that I will follow up on. But I very much feel that if it deserves your attention. The contract, the amount on the contract is something that you need to pay attention to. You just really need to be looking at the services you get for that amount of money and what's actually happening.
Provide some input on the contract, we'd welcome it. I'll have Director McCarty take a look at it with Corporation Counsel with regards to the parameters of that and if we're able to renegotiate it now. But with regards to working with Public Health, Juan Huerta, his office is right across the street from there, so I'll probably have him be the point person to work with them, but it'd be good to have your feedback on the contract.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Jane.
Yeah.
Have you addressed the county board, since animal control and the public health department fall under the county jurisdiction? Have you addressed them about some of the issues with the facility and the other things you bring up?
Yeah, I have been in steady communication with Gail O'Neill and Mr. McFadden. Andy Van Meter has been copied on some of that. As far as going directly to the board, I have not at this point. But that's not. I would certainly be open to doing that. I think they absolutely need to know what's going on and what I mean, you all need to know. You all need to know what's happening. The confusion it's causing, the inefficiencies. We could work much better. I am trying to work with the state's attorney to do some cooperative training so we all get on the same page. We understand each other. I'm working with the Springfield Police. We do need to get an understanding on that contract because, your police department feels you've got a contract and therefore animal control, and there's a little bitterness and resentment there, that we're going to make that contract work. Well, then we have trouble working with your police department, and we need to make sure that we have communication all the way through, that when the investigators go out, that they get the same, that they can work with the police just like animal control can. So, but yes, I will address the county board.
I'm going to get a quick plug in, but this is the point I brought up for Capital Township. We need an oversight group where you have a couple aldermen sitting on that, and this goes right to the heart of that representation where we can give input into the process. And right now, like you said, everybody points fingers to with regards to animal control. So. Alderman Senor?
It doesn't have anything to do with this.
I mean, you've got this citizen advisory committee, but it's not working very well.
Ma'am, we heard you, with all due respect, we've heard the same thing over and over, so the mayors gave you an advice, so if we could follow that, we appreciate your input.
Sure.
And we can, there's a problem, as Alderman DeCenzo's been told us 3 times, and so hopefully we can visit it and get it solved, not solved, because, last week was a freak of nature. Hopefully it doesn't get that cold again, but we hope people are taking care of their animals also.
But it's not just in cold weather. It's also in warm weather. It's in wet weather.
We'll take a look at the contract and then get with public health, especially since they have a new director.
And my concern is we're kind of stuck. What's our options? Jane, you're right. We need a better contract, but it's not like we have a competitor that we can go to that can board the animals that come through the city of Springfield. And so we're kind of stuck. For the city to put a shelter together, it would be astronomical, the cost. I don't know that we could do that. So I agree. I was reading about this on social media, and I felt terrible because, first of all, anybody that left their dog, I couldn't stand out in that, and it's just ridiculous. But I'm just concerned because we're kind of stuck.
You've got more leverage than you realize.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman McMillan.
this has been an issue before the council for 8 years, and we're really not stuck if we plan ahead. And besides the subsidy that this city gives to animal control, I think we've discussed in the past, there's almost $1 million of fees that are generated by animal control by our city residents from different fees that are charged for dogs and overnight stays and that kind of thing. So there's a means to pay for the city gaining greater control over this process. But I wanted to shift this conversation and shift to something else that's related. Ms. McBride, you've talked about the confusion and the lack of coordination in relation to knowing a cold weather event was coming for our animals. And I want to compliment Juan Huerta, who a week ago was prepared for our homeless population and took extraordinary steps to plan ahead with extra transportation, with extended hours and so forth, and I haven't heard any serious problems with our homeless population. Maybe there were some incidents out there, but I think being proactive and looking ahead served us, the city, well, Juan, so nice going.
Great job. And keeping it open during the daytime hours, that was fantastic, too.
Any other unfinished business? Alderman Tyler.
I'll wait for new business.
Okay. Any unfinished business with council members? Any new business?
Will, cat's out of the bag. May as well come on up and talk to us. I mean, first I have to say, for you personally, congratulations for you and your family, but it's a disappointment because you have been such a breath of fresh air at the library. Nancy did a great job, but you have really turned the corner and gone a different direction. And the changes and things that you've managed to implement at the library with the assistance of your staff have been nothing short of amazing. And, obviously I'd like to give you the opportunity to address the council and the citizens, as well as a request from me that you and I have talked about, and you've got a network of young librarians that you know from school and other things. And if the mayor is willing, I'd like you to maybe pass along some names or give us some, let us keep that kind of fresh energy and fresh blood. And, if you've got some people who are in your network, tell them to come here and apply.
Absolutely, I'd be more than happy to. I think it's just an honor to serve. It was a hard decision. It was not an easy one. It took me a long time, and I had to really think about it. It was not an easy one, and I'll tell you what, my staff, they do a great job, and I continue to think that they're going to do great things for the city here, and I still think you're going to see excellent service, and whoever has that has a really good opportunity to continue to do more positive work. I think there's a lot more positive things folks can do, and I think the library is going through a real renaissance, and I think it's going to continue to add a lot of value to the community. So I was just an honor to be a small part of it. I think I said I was 2% of it, so I'll take that credit for it, and thank you. And really, my staff makes me look very good, so they're doing all the hard work. I just gave them the opportunity and said yes to the things they said. So I think they're going to continue to do very well. And like I said, I'm humbled and honored by the chance that I even had an opportunity to serve. So thank you very much for recognizing me. It's very meaningful. Thank you.
Any other new business?
Yes.
Alderman Senor.
Yes, since it's Black History Month, the Department of Transportation is hosting several events. One of the events this Thursday, they're having a vendor fair, and the proceeds from the vendor fair is going to go to support the Lincoln Colored Home. As you know, there's a group of young men that are instrumental in trying to bring that colored home back. So we ask that you all come out to DOT this Thursday from what time? Noon to 3 to the vendor fair, and there will be a schedule of events also. And then on that, I would like to thank the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Decatur Springfield area chapter for staying for the whole meeting. Bless you all.
Any other new business? A couple items. One is we will have a special council meeting, if that's all right with everybody, at 5:15 on Tuesday, right before committee as a whole.
Wednesday.
Oh, it'll be Wednesday. Okay.
You're closed on Tuesday.
Oh, the 13th, yep. So is that all right with everybody?
Yep.
And then the items for discussion or for action would be the Poplar Place, which was read into the record tonight due to an IDA deadline, Illinois Housing Development Authority deadline, and then also the amendments to the Springfield Convention Visitors Bureau Advisory Board and the appointments, and I think the amendment as well for that particular ordinance. Is that correct, Corporation Counsel?
You can list it on there and then decide if you want to take action. So at least that way it's on there for discussion.
And then the other item is, I think this came up, the last election was the usage of the city seal. That is prohibited, and I think Corporation Counsel sent a notice to clerk's office. I think you were going to contact or had contacted all candidates or sent something out. Okay.
Yeah,
Very good.
The clerk had actually issued a notice about it just for everybody's convenience, a copy of the ordinance.
And then the last item I have is on February 7th at Laurel United Methodist Church from 5 to 7, we are going to have a project improvement, I guess, public meeting. I don't know if, Nate, if you want to come up, it's with regards to the Walnut Street improvement from South Grand to Capitol Avenue.
That's correct. From 5 to 7 on February 7th, we're having a public informational meeting. We're doing a road diet. We're proposing on doing a road diet on Walnut Street from South Grand to Capitol Avenue. So we hope to see you there.
Don't have any of those Franklin ground squirrels over there, do they?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Alderman Senor and then Alderman McPat.
There's been a lot of talk about the Y block. If you have any information that you could share with the city council, because there's been articles in the paper, Senator Menard's pushing funding for a capital bill, and I know the chancellor at UIS is very concerned because they're trying to do something on the Y block or in downtown Springfield. So I want to make sure if we do have some plans that we around this horseshoe are familiar with those plans so that we can get that information out to our constituents and we can answer questions intelligently about that.
Yeah, the plans were, like I was aware of it, was through Senator Menard's proposal, which we really appreciate his leadership in requesting $50 million on behalf of SIU with the interest of the city of Springfield. And so I learned from it shortly before you did when I sent out the media release. So what's good is there's a lot of interest on the Y block, and what's even better, there should be a university presence on that, which we've been pushing. So time will tell, and that's what it's all about. So I think that bodes well for Springfield with regards to both interests. There's UIS, which is my alma mater, of course, and then SIU, and expanding both their footprints in downtown. That'd be great.
I think that the law school does make a lot of sense with all the other buildings that are right there.
Nate.
And I think it's a big enough block that both schools could be there. I think that could be the
You know what
answer.
we really ought to do is we ought to have them talking to each other.
Yes.
Because I can tell you Chancellor Cook is not a happy camper.
Well, Mayor, if you could facilitate something, that might not be a bad idea.
You can't spell UIS without SIU. All right.
Oh, that's good.
Well, Mayor, since you brought
so we
that,
will, but it's up to the universities. I mean, it's really up to the boards. We were meeting over the summer with both, and there was movement. Unfortunately, SIU had a change of leadership, and so really that's back on the forefront, which is good. So
it's real easy just to talk to each other, though. It really is.
Since you brought that up, the models in Indianapolis, if you look at Ooey Pooey, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indiana. So, there's a model out there that we can study and see if we can come up with something like that.
Yeah, but, if I can, Mayor.
Sure. Alderman Donald.
I tell you, the number of calls and people that have reached out to me in the last few days because of what Senator Menard did, people are excited about the possibilities. Right. This is something that the energy has not been invigorated in the downtown area like this in a long, long time. And I just can't thank him enough. And I think it would be wonderful for Springfield if any and all located downtown. And let's just, Alderman Senor, I echo your comments. If we all need to know what's going on, and it'd be great to have an opportunity to have input. And but Senator Menard just introducing the bill, just the energy that has been created from that, it's just wonderful. So
no doubt about it. And it all comes down to the dollars, as we know. That's what the important of the capital bill is.
Back to Nate. are you interviewing, or are you about to, how are you doing on your traffic engineer? Because you got your plate full, bud.
We're hoping to have a traffic engineer very soon.
Okay, good.
And let me clarify, I'm not upset, but I just want to talk intelligently when people have questions about it.
Sure.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other new business? Is there anybody from the audience like to address the council?
Second.
We have one back in the back here. If you'd like to come forward and state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it. I don't think he's here.
Greetings. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you all this evening?
Good.
Audience. My name is Nadine Wright, and I'm a write-in candidate for Alderman Ward 3. Just wanted to say hello. Came to sit in on the meeting tonight, and just, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other individuals wish to address the council? If you'd like to come forward.
I'm Alice Ramey, and I live over on the east side, and I go along with you, okay? I also go along with other people that have the same problem. I had 3 big dogs in my backyard, and at the time I had them, you had the same weather then that you have now. I put heaters in my dog house, and I also saw another little dog outside, and it was cold, so I picked it up and took it in my house. Now, I don't know about the other people, but if you have dogs, they're your babies. They're your friends, they're your protector, and you can talk to them and they don't talk back. Sometimes they do if they bark, okay? But I have had problems with Mr. Stone a long time, and I just got tired of it, so I picked up the dogs and took them out there and knocked on the door. I got what I wanted. We need a better communication, a better bill, a better everything. I realize it's in the Sangamon County. Okay, I realize that, all right? I realize that you have to go and get it approved, but I think we need it a little bit better. Now, the original contract for abused dogs was in 1846, and that's how they used the law for abused children. So if the dogs are your children, then you're abusing them. And I do not agree with what she said. I think the cops should have picked them up and should have been put into another area where they can be kept, and the people fined. If not fined, put in jail. Because I don't care what you say. If you take care of your children, you need to take care of your dogs.
Thank you. Two other real quick announcements. The NAACP banquet is this Sunday at the Crown Plaza at 2:45, and then also the city's closed on Tuesday for Lincoln's birthday. That's why the committee as a whole meeting will be on Wednesday at 5:30, but prior to that, will be at 5:15 will be the special city council meeting. Any other business?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. We're adjourned.
Good job.